actually, we're talking about our financial legacy. And so joining us today is Lorne Jackson. He's someone who he's from Advisors with Purpose. So if you've watched the show, you've probably seen them at some point. It's a charity empowering Canadians to build and protect their financial legacy through estate planning. So let's welcome Lorne Jackson to the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Lorne.
Well, Emily, thank you for having me. It's just great to be with you today.
So, Lorne, you first started in really the profit sector for many years, and then you decided to start Financial Discipleship Canada and Advisors with Purpose. So, how did you really first become passionate about helping people reflect their faith and values in their estate planning?
Well, I would say, first of all, there's some interesting stats out there. 58% of Canadians don't even have a valid will. And that was according to a Google survey just recently, actually. But that hasn't changed much over the years. And then the other thing that kind of got my attention was 74% of Canadians would like to have a discussion about their estate. They just don't know who to turn to. I'm a CFP and all those designations in the financial planning sector. And as a financial planner, we don't typically do estate planning because there's no money in it for an estate planner or for a financial advisor. So it's always something that's left. So 74%, imagine that, would like to have this discussion. The reasons they gave was they wanted to talk about tax issues in their estate. And the other one was, what about family and how it may affect them financially, et cetera. So that's, I think, what really drove me to get doing this in the first place, was to try to help Canadians think through this area of estate before they do their will or before they update it. So that would be my answer.
Well, thank you for doing that and leaving a legacy really with that in particular as well in that financial field, because you probably had a lot of different options you could have done. And here, this was a priority for you. So thank you for that. Now we're talking some different terms. So people may not be aware of what planned giving or estate planning is. Can you help us understand those terms?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I've seen a stat that says planned giving is one of the most misunderstood phrases. So good question. Maybe we should be calling it planned leaving. Maybe that would be a better word, because giving means it's something I'm doing now while I'm alive. Leaving is something I do when I leave this earth and I graduate to heaven. And that's really what estate planning is planning for the future while we can do something about it now. I like to think about estate planning that way. We're planning our future estate while we're alive and can do something about it now. So that would be how I would explain estate planning. And planned giving is maybe a synonymous term that just kind of goes along with it, but I would prefer to call it planned leaving.
Yeah, I mean, really, legacy, when we think of legacy, we think of someone who has passed on already. But in order to leave a legacy, you need to build a legacy today, right? And so that requires some planning. So, okay, we're talking about these different terms. So if someone's watching today and they feel like, oh, I have a will, that's good enough. Or maybe they're wondering, do I still need an estate plan? What's the difference between those?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question. People do not understand often. Most of us go to a lawyer's office and we do our will, but when we do that, nobody's asking us the tax aspects in our will. It would be really important to know those, because here's what I've learned. People don't know what they don't know. So therefore, they make decisions in their will that were really a bad decision had they known all the information. So one of the things that we do at Advisors with Purpose is making sure that they understand the ramifications of some of those decisions they're making in their will. So estate planning can help with that. And it really is just planning before you do your will to make sure that I've got the most tax effective will I could possibly have, and make sure that I understand how this is going to affect my kids. That would be it.
So I think I know the answer to this, but when I think estate planning or something like that, I often think, oh, like when I think estates, I think of big homes or a lot of wealth. So is this something for people who have wealth, or is this for every something every family should consider, and why?
Yeah, I like to say everybody should have a will. And I think everybody should do a plan before they do their will or before they update their will, because planning it out ahead of time makes it much easier for your next of kin. Oftentimes we leave things in our will that may have some huge tax effects, or maybe not even tax effects. Maybe we haven't thought through the issues of leaving it to our kids and how that will affect them if they maybe have an issue with handling money. Maybe they're poor at handling money, and we leave them a whole bunch of cash. Well, that probably isn't going to help. So there's things we can do to help you think through those and prepare to make sure that that doesn't happen with your family.
Oh, well, that's great. It's so beneficial to hear this. Even as I'm listening to you, I'm learning so much. So thank you for sharing with us. We're going to be right back with more with Lorne Jackson.
Thank you.
May is Leave a Legacy Month. What will your legacy say? How will you be remembered? Each day, we contribute to the story we'll leave behind. A story that impacts loved ones, our community, and the world. This isn't just about wealth or inheritance. It's about crafting a lasting legacy. Advisors with Purpose can help you create a plan for your will. A plan that reflects your faith, your purpose, your values. Their services are free and fully confidential. There is no obligation, and no one will try to sell you anything. For more information or to book an appointment with an advisor, please contact plan@advisorswithpurpose.ca.
Well, welcome back. Here we are with Lorne Jackson from Advisors with Purpose. And you've really given us a good overview of what will is and planned giving, what those terms mean, how to do it. So we just saw in that video that it talks about how actually this is a part of our faith and our values. So how can giving through a will actually be a spiritual act or expression of our faith?
Yeah, I would say Psalm 24:1 says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who dwell in it." I like to sum that up by saying God owns it all. So if God owns it all, the first person I meet when I leave this earth is the real owner. So how I have handled all that he has entrusted to me would be important to him and important for me to handle as he would have me. And I think if we just, and this is the issue, if we just do a will, there's probably not much thought given to the fact that this was God's provision and I am his steward. But when we do a plan, we can start to think about, okay, as a God steward, how should I be handling this? And maybe I should be giving to charity out of this as well. And how do I do that? So I think those are important issues to consider, and that the way it makes a good Christian legacy. Sometimes I say to people, so do you have a Christian will, or does your will just look like everybody else's? I just left it all to the family, and I haven't even thought about charity. Um, we know that our experience shows that out of 40 people that we work with, 39 have no gift of charity in their will when we start, but they all do when we finish. What
Mm.
happened? They now understand the tax aspect.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It's really shows, again, we've been talking a lot about legacy being about faithfulness. And so we see that as people are faithful with what God's given them. So, okay, so maybe somebody's considering leaving a gift to charity in their will, but maybe they have this concern that will my kids or my heirs end up with less? Like, how do you address that?
Yeah, we need to sometimes stop and this again, this is where a plan helps. Usually we don't think about how much am I actually leaving my kids? When I think about the houses, my home is sold and all of my assets are turned into cash and they're and distributed amongst them. We obviously want to leave them something, but we don't want to leave them so much that it gives them a reason not to go to work every day. We don't want to leave them so much that it drives families apart, obviously. So thinking through those things helps. The other one is I've actually seen it where because a person gave to charity in their will, and it wiped out all the tax, for example, on their RSP maybe, that then that RSP could go to their kids, which before it would have been half taken in tax. So those kind of things can actually increase sometimes how much a child might get. But we always want to look at it. Is this enough to help them and not hurt them? That's how we want to obviously handle it.
I love that. Help them and not hurt them. A lot of prayerful consideration. I think that's what you're really saying here is this is all about being really intentional with how we steward what God's given us on this earth and then what it happens to it after we're gone. So, how can someone make sure that their will or estate plan really reflects their life and values in their faith and not just their finances?
Yeah, and that's another thing that happens when you sit back and you do a plan. You begin to look at, hey, what are the charities I've supported during my lifetime? Um, do my kids even know that I'm supporting those? Maybe that would be good. And I usually recommend a family meeting so that the family should never learn that you're giving the charity in your will at the reading of your will. They should know that ahead of time. And it's an opportunity to tell our kids why we support the things we do and get them, perhaps, maybe even get them involved. So I think this is a great opportunity to have a stewardship moment with our kids.
So true. Maybe even getting them involved in which charities and things like that, right? And again, this is all about that legacy. It's so much more than finances. It's the legacy of carrying down our faith too, and why we have these values, why we trust in the Word of God, things like that. So maybe just as we close off here, what have you personally seen happen when people take the time to plan intentionally with purpose and generosity? Maybe you have a story or something that you can share.
Yeah, I have a great story about a couple who had a cottage up in north of Toronto, actually in the Muskokas. They really wanted to leave it to their kids and make sure the kids and grandkids got to use it after they were gone. So they were able to set up their estate so that because they'd done a plan, they were able to set up their estate so that there was enough cash in the estate to pay the tax on this cottage, so that the kids actually did receive the cottage. Because otherwise, you can imagine the capital gains tax would be huge. But they had taken care of that ahead of time because they did the planning. So all worked out well.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much for how you are pouring into people and helping them leave a legacy that can last long after they are here on earth. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Well, if you would like to know more information on Advisors with Purpose, make sure to head to our website at 700club.ca.